Have you ever wondered how it feels to spend 3 days in the Arctic with just a bushcraft hot tent and no sleeping bag? Picture this. A decision fueled by a relentless spirit of adventure propels you to step out of the comfort of the known and plunge into the icy unknown. The preparation is meticulous, as every item packed holds the potential to be a lifesaver. The journey to the Arctic, a destination so remote, so harsh, and yet so incredibly beautiful, is a saga in itself. The anticipation is tinged with a dash of trepidation. The challenges are numerous: the biting cold, the relentless winds, the unforgiving terrain. But there's also the allure of the northern lights, the serene silence of the snow-covered landscape, and the thrill of surviving against all odds. As we venture into the wild, let's see what the Arctic has in store for us. The call of the wild echoes, and it's time to answer. Scene script. Day 1. We step into the Arctic expanse, a world of white, with our trusty bushcraft hot tent in tow. As we take our first steps into the vast snow-covered landscape, there's an undeniable sense of excitement mixed with trepidation. The Arctic, in all its stark beauty, is a formidable opponent, and setting up camp is our first challenge. The bushcraft hot tent, our lifeline in this icy wilderness, is more than just a shelter. It's a refuge, a beacon of warmth in the biting cold. As we unroll the tent, the fabric crackles in the frosty air. The poles are assembled with practiced hands, their metal cold to the touch. Each movement is methodical, each action deliberate. In an environment as harsh as this, there's no room for errors. The cold is relentless, but so are we. With the tent finally up, we turn our attention to the next crucial element: fire. Fire is not just a source of warmth in the Arctic. It's a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the endless white. Gathering what little fuel we can find in this barren landscape, we strike a spark. The flame catches, flickering and growing as we nurture it, a tangible sign of life amidst the snow. But there's an element of the unexpected in this adventure: no sleeping bags. It's a twist that adds another layer of challenge to our Arctic journey. We rely instead on the heat of our fire and the insulation of our tent. It's a stark reminder of the harsh reality of the Arctic. Survival here doesn't allow for luxuries. Yet even in the face of these challenges, there's a sense of accomplishment. The tent stands sturdy against the wind, the fire crackles merrily, and we've carved out a small haven in the heart of the Arctic wilderness. As we hunker down for the night, the Arctic whispers its icy lullaby. It's a song of survival, of resilience, and as we listen, we are ready to face whatever the new day brings. Day 2, the Arctic awakens, and so do we, greeted by a day that's as cold as the night. As the sun peeks over the horizon, the struggle for survival continues. The scarcity of food and water becomes more evident. We must adapt to the Arctic's rules. We become hunters, scavengers, ice fishers, whatever it takes to fill our stomachs in this barren, icy wilderness. Every calorie counts in this freezing expanse. We make do with what the Arctic offers: a fish from a frozen hole, a handful of berries from a hardy bush, a morsel of meat from a scarce game. Water, the elixir of life, is oddly hard to come by in a place covered in ice. Melting snow and ice is a time-consuming and fuel-consuming process, but it's a necessity we cannot overlook. It's a strange irony to be surrounded by water in its solid form, yet to struggle for it in its life-giving liquid state. Isolation in the Arctic is a unique experience. It's a world devoid of the usual sounds of civilization. Here, the only sounds are those of the wind howling, the ice creaking, and your own heart beating in your chest. Isolation can be a test of mental strength, but it can also be a chance for introspection, for understanding oneself better when stripped of all distractions. Surviving in the Arctic is not just about the physical challenges. It's a mental game too. The cold, the isolation, the scarcity, they all take a toll on your mind. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel the chill creep into your spirit, but this is where resilience comes into play. The Arctic doesn't yield easily, but neither do we. We learn to take one step at a time, to celebrate small victories, to keep our spirits high even when the temperatures drop low. As we bid the sun goodbye, our respect for the Arctic and its harsh beauty grows. The Arctic may be cold, but it's also a place of strength, resilience, and survival. A testament to the indomitable spirit of life itself. Scene script. Day 3. The Arctic tests our mettle for one last time. Imagine waking up to the last day of an Arctic adventure. That's where we find ourselves today. The final challenge. The air is thick with anticipation, and the sun rises, casting long shadows on the snow. The cold has become a familiar friend, and we're more prepared than ever to face what lies ahead. The Arctic, in all its icy splendor, has been our home for 3 days. We've learned to respect its might, its unpredictability, and the silent beauty that hides beneath its frosty exterior. And on this final day, it seems like the Arctic has one more surprise in store for us. Despite the cold, there's a sense of warmth that fills us. It's the joy of survival, the joy of overcoming the Arctic's challenges, of making it through the nights with nothing but a bushcraft hot tent for shelter and our survival skills to keep us going. It's a joy that can only be earned, not given. But it's not just the joy of survival that warms us. It's the anticipation of returning to civilization, to the comforts we've left behind. We look forward to the warmth of a heated room, the taste of a hot meal, the comfort of a soft bed. But we also know we'll miss the Arctic, its stark beauty, its silent nights, its challenging days. Just when we think we've seen it all, the Arctic throws a curveball at us. A sudden snowstorm sweeps across our camp. It's a final test, a final challenge, but we're ready. We've survived 2 days in the Arctic. We're not going to let a snowstorm beat us on the third. And then, just as suddenly as it started, the storm subsides. The Arctic has thrown its final challenge at us, and we've emerged victorious. As we pack up our tent, we take a moment to appreciate the wild beauty around us, knowing we've survived its worst. 3 days, 1 tent, and no sleeping bag. The Arctic has been a formidable teacher. It's time to look back at the journey we've undertaken, the hurdles we've overcome, and the lessons we've learned. This adventure began with a single step into the unknown, the Arctic's vast, icy wilderness. Setting up camp on day 1 was our first challenge. It reminded us of the importance of preparation. The Arctic is not a place where you can wing it. Everything from selecting the right spot for the tent to gathering firewood required careful planning. Day 2 was a test of survival. The Arctic, with its sub-zero temperatures and relentless winds, demanded resilience. Dealing with the cold, rationing our food, and keeping the fire alive, these were not just tasks, but lessons in endurance. It was a day that taught us the true meaning of the word survival. The final challenge on day 3 was not just about overcoming physical hurdles, but mental ones as well. The Arctic had one more lesson for us: respect for nature. The Arctic is not our adversary, but a teacher. It shows us our limits, teaches us humility, and reminds us of our place in the grand scheme of nature. This journey was a testament to the human spirit, its capacity to adapt, endure, and learn. The Arctic, with its harsh conditions and breathtaking beauty, has been a classroom like no other. It taught us about the importance of preparation, the value of resilience, and the need for respect for nature. The Arctic is a place where you learn to appreciate the small things: a warm fire, a hot meal, or a clear sky. It's a place that changes you, challenges you, and ultimately makes you a better version of yourself. As we leave the Arctic behind, we carry with us not just memories, but lessons of survival, resilience, and respect for the wild.